Okay, good morning YouTube. We are going to walk you through a glass only repair on an iPhone 8 Plus this morning. It'll be the full process, start to finish, to show you all the steps that we go through. So on this one, customers brought it in, the glass is cracked but the screen is fully functional. So when you bought your phone new, you know you're going to get your genuine Apple screen on there. So we are going to make sure we retain the same screen for her repair, so that she experiences the best quality and less chance of any issues, basically, which is what we always do at Dan Star Electronics. So we're going to get the screen off first. So you take the screws out, get the frame nice and warm, and then just gently pry around the edges, cut the adhesive and lift the screen. Okay, so we can turn it off. Start to remove the screws from the battery and LCD cable shield. Off that comes, and then always first disconnect the battery very carefully, and then the screen can come up, and then the front facing camera. Put the phone to one side, we don't really need that anymore, not for the purpose of getting the screen sorted out anyway. Always careful to make a little road map of where the screws belong, so that you know you get them back in the right place, which can be more important than you'd think. And be especially careful near the home button, because there is no replacing these if you break them. You've got to go to Apple in that case. There you go, home button. It's just a case of being very delicate not to damage any of these tiny little pieces that they've got in here. Gently tease them out. A little bit of heat, a little bit of alcohol. And off they come. And remove the old earpiece from the assembly, because we'll be replacing that with a fresh one. Make sure your microphone hole is not blocked. Always transfer your camera brackets across to your new screen. Right, so Apple have actually tied their screens to the motherboard of the phone now in the iPhone 8s and the X, and so if you put on any other screen than the one that came with the phone, iOS will know that this serial number here is different, and so in knowing that, Apple can disable any feature they like by writing that right into the operating system, iOS. Now in iOS 11 it's been documented that the ambient light sensor will fail to work based on this information being different. So what we're doing here today is going to avoid that issue altogether, because we're going to replace the same screen to the phone. Should you need to put on a different screen, China have very helpfully made a tool available that will read this serial number from this screen if you plug it onto the machine, and then write that serial number onto a replacement screen. So if, unlike this one, if your screen was completely damaged, we could still take another original LCD and write the information from your screen onto the new screen, preserving all the features that you know and love in your phone. But we won't need that tool on this one, provided we don't break the LCD. So the next step is to get this LCD onto our heat plate. If I just clear a space for that. Bring this where you can see it. That should do you. I've got this set to 70 at the minute. I just want to warm it up gently and then try to cut off the frame, which is probably about the hardest part of this whole process, removing the frame. So just go in and carefully cut the corners, which is just enough to give me access to the area that I need to get to. It's a case of trying to gently tease this off, and sometimes they come off without issues, sometimes they're a bit tougher. You know, because I'm filming this one, it's going to be a tough one. And if need be, we can put the temperature up slightly on the hot plate to allow that to come off if it's going to be a tough one. And what you don't want to do is put too much pressure on the LCD and then go and crack it. So we've just upped that to 90 now, and I don't want the actual screen resting on the heat when it gets up to that temperature. Just the edges will be fine. Okay, it's just about reaching 90 now. Okay, that's that side done. I'll try and tease off the other side. As I say, I do like to rather take just that little bit more time rather than risk breaking the LCD and having to supply another LCD, which is expensive, and B, all this time that I've wasted doing this will be wasted, so I'll have to start again. It's not the end of the world if you do break the LCD, thanks to China and their little programming tool, but you know, why mess around and do it the hard way? I'd just like to clean up where the frames have been, which helps me avoid any damage to the surface of the LCD polarizer layer. And I'm also still being mindful of the fact that my hot plate is still a bit too hot now for me to lay the LCD on here for any length of time. Because if I do that, it will warp the backlight and you'll see waves in the display, which is not good. So I'm just letting that cool back down now to 70. I think when we do that, we'll make sure that we've not damaged the LCD in taking off the frame. So we can connect that back up. And this phone's not going to fully boot up because the home button is not connected, so it's, I mean, it will boot up, but it will take 5 or so minutes. But we just want to know enough that the LCD is still working. So battery on, here we go. Yeah, and that's still fine. Happy with that. Okay, the hot plate is 78 now. That'll do if I'm quick. vacuum on that doesn't sound as healthy as it once did. Alright, so I'll just now take all this glass off, which should lift fairly easy, and throw it in the bin. See what I'm doing. Running that wire back along underneath the glass again, just to give it a final lift, and then it'll fall off. No problem. Okay, so now I can move the hot plate out of the way. We won't need that again. It's just a case of cleaning this glue off the display, which most of it just rubs off quite nicely with your thumb, your finger. Alright, now that's the main bulk of that stuff up and gone, and yeah, there's definitely faster ways of doing that, but again, I do prefer to just be careful with it, take my time and not damage the LCD. So the next step is a final clean. This is going to be obviously spotless to act as an LCD, otherwise you'll see mess all over the place. I'm just trying to gently remove this flex cable from where it's stuck down on the back here. And these cables are so delicate, they tear like tissue paper. And you also can't go bending them around, best to move them as little as possible. So just have that hung off the edge of me desk there to get them clean. And I'll just use a little bit of this Goo Gone, just a little. think I can actually see some LCD damage, so I just want to check that out. I don't know at what stage I would have caused that. The frame would be the worst time for me to damage it. I don't think I would have caused any damage in removing the glass the way that I did. So let's just see this now. I think it's down here. No, that actually seems okay. What I might do is connect the home button so that this boots up at the normal speed, and then just make sure properly on that. Just wouldn't want to get too far into it, put the new glass on and then figure that I'd cracked it, but it must just be a marking. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That is going to be fine. Let's turn it off properly. Scared for a minute there, that wouldn't have made a good video, would it? Not that you can call these videos good. How interesting is it to sit here and peel broken glass off of an LCD? But there you go. That's what I do all day. Right, so just give it that final polish up. And then the next stage is to line it up with some new glass and then laminate that on another machine. This bit's just a case of removing all traces of glue, smudges, anything like that, because you'll see it when you put the new glass on. Okay, just go and find my mould. Put this in. Okay, so this is what's called the YMJ mold. YMJ is just a company in China that makes some of this stuff. I purchased mine through somebody very well known. Her name is Nancy. Shout out to Nancy. Thank you very much for all the awesome stuff that you send me. So what this does is just allow me to get a very near perfect alignment between the LCD and the glass, which is going to sit on top of it. Now these are the older style YMJ molds for these. There is a newer version which is a bit better, which allows you to keep this cable completely flat, and for that reason I now tend to use these just purely to get everything aligned, but I won't laminate with the mold as it was intended, just because sometimes there's a risk that you'll break the LCD, and most of the time it runs smoothly, but when you're on video, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong when you're recording. So for this, I'll definitely not laminate in the mold. So as you can see, that sits there, that lines up nicely, that holds that in place. And then you position a new piece of glass, again from Nancy, very high quality, the best ones certainly that I've found to date, and no reason to look anywhere else. So that sits in there. Like so. Well, I'll deal with that in a moment because we need to do a final clean on the LCD first. Now, I don't have any dust protection, which is bad, and sometimes some dust can get in there, so I'd have to redo it. But I find if you try and get the glass on fast enough, you'll generally be okay. Also a good idea to get rid of anything that might be laying on the back of this, because it will jump straight onto, there's a layer of glue already attached to this glass called OCA, optically clear adhesive, and the dust will jump straight on and stick to it, which you'll see in your screen. So that goes over there, on as fast as you can, and then literally just touch this to the display to get the alignment. Then I can take all this away, keep the mat, and place that on it like so, and hang the cables over the edge of this base mould. Ready for the machine to press it. So I will try and show you on a different camera. Right, so I've just put the iPhone on to record, which is pointing at the lamination machines. So now we're here, turn them on. Just wait a second to let it get up to temperature. Set the lamination pressure. Let's give it a few more seconds to let the temperature go up. The machine comes down, presses that glass onto the LCD display. It comes out, there's a few bubbles left in there, usually, especially on the iPhone 8s and 7s. And then they go in here. Just a ring of mainly around the edges. And that is exactly how I would expect it to look coming out of there. Pop it in this one. Yeah, it's fed into there from the compressor. And it just holds it in like a pressure chamber. And I'll leave it there for 8 to 10 minutes. So you guys can listen to the music. been to make a coffee, and the wife had already made one and left it there on the Tassimo machine, so it's nice and cold for me. Cheers. Cold coffee. Well, there's 8 minutes on the timer, so that's enough for me to cancel this now. And there it is. Right, so we've got our screen now, fresh from the lamination machine. Everything should just be fine with that still. And we will check it once more. Better to be safe than sorry. Yay! There we go. And again, this is not going to boot up anytime soon without the home button connected. But so there you can see it. I'll continue the film running while I build it all back together. But that is basically it then. So the screen has been saved, auto brightness function preserved, and the customer can go on and know that they still have all their original serial numbered parts inside their phone. I do wish Apple would just stick to one type of screw though. Just pick one and run with it. Yeah? You don't need to sit here with multiple different screwdrivers just to take these things apart. There we go. We always give you a free tempered glass screen protector with your repairs when they're in stock. We try try to keep them in stock. And just had a new lot come in, so here they go. So that was it from start to finish, the full process. We'll put this video together. Yes, we'll edit little bits to speed up some of the slower bits to save you waiting around, but essentially that's everything done, everything you need to know, and that's how we go about our repairs. Thank you very much.